Hi everyone, this is Amy from Once in a Blue Moon coming to you this evening from Central Illinois. It's been pretty stormy here today, but thankfully the storms have stopped for now anyway. And I have a tutorial that I'd like to show you tonight using memory wire. Usually memory wire will come in smaller chunks, I guess you'd call it. But I was able to find here's one. Memory wire will usually come in a package with probably about this much in there. And then I was able to also find it on Amazon in this long rope piece, which reminded me of a slinky. And I had one of these as a kid and absolutely loved it. I do like working with memory wire. It's a hard stainless steel wire that does keep its shape. It'll spring back. You can usually pull it out a little ways and it'll retain its shape, but you don't want to pull it too much. So what we're going to be doing tonight is a 3-piece bracelet set. I know a lot of times you see the memory wire bracelets, they're all in loops connected, but the way that I like to do them is I like to do them separately, and then that way I can make different bracelets and I can mix and match with the memory wire, which makes it fun. And we're also going to do a wire wrap on the memory wire, which gives an interesting look to the bracelet itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out my memory wire for my bracelets, and I want it to overlap some because depending on the size of my beads, excuse me, it can stretch the memory wire out just a little bit. So this is the beginning of my wire, and I'm going to use my memory wire cutters to trim off. I want it to go just a little bit past where the end of my piece is. So I'm going to come down maybe about 1/2 inch and cut. Okay, so there's my first memory wire loop for my bracelet. Now the second one, I'm going to do the same thing for the second and the third. I find the end of my memory wire, come around, and it's coming this way towards me. So I'm going to go about 1/2 inch past. And there I have my second bracelet cut. And then again, the same thing for the third. Find my end, come back about 1/2 inch, and cut. Okay, so there I have my 3 memory wire loops that I'm going to be using for this bracelets, excuse me. Okay, now what I've decided to try and use tonight are amethyst. I love amethyst. It's my youngest daughter's birthstone, and like I said, one of my favorites. These are some faceted amethyst stones that I found online. I'm going to be accenting this bracelet with some 4mm cube beads, which are also in amethyst. And then the second accent bead is going to be these 4mm clear crystal AB beads. AB, if you didn't know, stands for Aurora Borealis, which means it's got a film across the top of the bead that gives it an iridescent effect, so that when light hits it, it looks more or less like a rainbow effect. Okay, so we're going to be using those 3. For the wire wrapping, I'm going to be using 20 gauge silver. I don't normally like to go any thinner than maybe a 22, just depending on the size of my beads, because of it can warp actually when you're trying to wrap the bead on the memory wire. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Get it untangled here. I'll set this to the side. Okay, and the first thing that I want to do is create a loop on the end of my memory wire so that my beads won't fall off. I have a memory wire looper, and you can see it has a thin piece, and it also has thicker. I'm going to go ahead and use the thicker because on these I want to put a charm on at least one of them. So I take it to the end of my memory wire, make sure I don't have any sticking out the top, and turn towards me, and keep turning until I can get it to meet the top of the memory wire piece. Some people like their loops a little bit smaller, and then in that case I would use the smaller rod that's on the pliers here. I'm going to try and get that as close as I can to the memory wire, and then this will be where I hang my charm off when I'm finished. Okay, so we've got that ready to go. Move this out of the way, and we're ready to cut our 20 gauge wire for our wrapping. And I'm going to be wrapping these, I believe that they're 8mm, excuse me, amethyst faceted gemstones. Okay, so I'll take probably about, measure that out, probably about 6 inches is a good number to go with using that size of bead. So we'll cut that off about right there. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and make the tiniest loop that I can. And that's going to be the foundation of my wire wrap around my bead. And you can see how small that is. I use the very tip of the round nose pliers. So I take my wire and I slide it onto the memory wire with the loop facing down. Bring it in so I can grab onto it good. I take one of my beads, my amethyst beads, such a pretty color. I'm going to find the hole on here. There you go. And now it can feel a little clumsy at first, but once you get going with the wrap part, it gets a lot easier. So I've got my loop up against the side of my bead. I'm going to grab onto that and I'm going to pull it around and go under, make a loop, grabbing onto that and holding it straight. I come back around, pushing my loop against the bead, coming around, going down again, come up, over, around for the second row, up and over, pull tight. You want to keep a good tight grip on this. There's your second row on the other side. Come around, go up and over. I'm going to do 3 wraps on each side. Here's your third wrap, up and over, third wrap, up and over, come all the way back up, and clip as close to the memory wire as you can. Throw out the excess. You want to feel and make sure that you don't have any edges sticking out. And then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and push down on that edge so that I don't have anything that's going to irritate or cut anyone or get caught on their clothing. And as you can see, I've got a wrapped bead. It's called a herringbone wrap. I'm going to take that and I'm going to push it down to the end of my memory wire. You might have to do a little pull because I got it on good and tight, which is what you want. I'm going to pull that all the way down to my loop, just like that. And that's what it looks like. Then in between, like I said, I decided I wanted to do the cube beads. So I'm going to put my purple on. I'm going to put my clear on. My my 4mm clear, these two, and another purple onto there, and then turn this around, and that's what that's going to look like with the herringbone. And I'm going to continue this pattern all the way around until I get to maybe 1/2 inch from the end of my memory wire loop. Okay, so let's try another one. I'll show you how that's going to do. I get my silver 20 gauge, pull it off my spool. I'm going to measure out roughly 6 inches, trim it off. Once again, take my regular round nose pliers, put it as close to the tip as I can get. Make sure I don't have any that's sticking up off the top of the pliers. Grab it tight and make a small loop. Just like that. Okay? And then again, I'm going to take my wire, put it loop side down so it's going away from the top of the wire. Slide it onto memory wire. I'm going to hang on to it. Get another one of my amethyst gemstone beads. Look at that. It's variegated like that. I think it's so pretty. So pretty. Makes it really interesting when you're looking at the bracelet. Sometimes it can be hard to see the holes, and it takes just a minute or a few seconds to find it. Okay, here I am on my memory wire again. I've got my loop up against the bead itself. I'm going to hang on to that, and with my other hand, I'm going to pull that wire up and over, pulling it tight against the memory wire. Then I take the other end where I have the loop, and I'm going to push that in towards my bead, and that's going to hold that in place. And you just try and get as close to that as you can. This one's going to be a little obnoxious here, but we're just going to make it do what we want it to do. Okay, I've gone up and over, around, and over the memory wire, up and over, come around. That's my second row, holding it tight, pull it down, come up again and over. It's just a repetition of around, up and over, and you just want to keep on, hang on to it as tightly as you can. You don't want it moving a lot on your memory wire. So this is my second round. Take it, pull it over, up again, come around for the third. Now you can put as many rows as you want, and the more rows you put on, of course, the wider it's going to get on your memory wire. I like 3. That seems just about right for me, but like I said, you can always go bigger. But any less than 3, I think, doesn't hold the bead in place, and it can get a little wonky with your wire. So I'm starting my third row, up and over, around again, over, and I've got my 3 rows on each side. This is what the herringbone looks like when you're done. And then I'm going to take I can use my regular cutters, because the silver that I'm wrapping with is not, of course, not memory wire. That would be almost impossible for me anyway, to go ahead and try and wrap that around. So I'm going to clip this as close as I can. Oop, almost got the herringbone in there. And clip that off, set it aside. I'll put this over here. And then I'm going to take, you see how that sticks up just a little bit? So I want to take my chain nose pliers and come around and push that down against the memory wire so that it doesn't scratch. That's no fun. Okay, I'll push, make sure I've got it as close as I can get it. Okay, and this other side is good up against there. So there we have our second herringbone bead. So I'm going to hang on to this. And it can be, like I said, it can be a little bit tight to pull, but just go easy with it and take your time. And here we have the second herringbone bead with the accent beads in between. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue this pattern with the herringbone, the accent beads, herringbone, all the way to, like I said, within about 1/2 inch of the end of the memory wire, and I'll be back. See you in a moment. Okay, I'm back again, having finished doing all of the herringbone wraps for the first bracelet. As you can see, I was able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 herringbone wraps on this one bracelet. And depending on the size of your bead, the size of your wire, and how much memory wire you've cut, is going to depend on how many you can get on any one bracelet. So I'm at the very end. I have my ending as, of course, it doesn't always end up with the same bead components that you start with, or the bead style, or the pattern, I should say, but that's okay. So I'm going to take my memory wire loopers, hold down my beads, and finish it off with a loop. Turn them around the right way, grab onto the end, making sure there's nothing coming out the top. No, I don't think so. Make sure I can grab onto this and not lose it. Pull or push tight, and do my loop. Sometimes you gotta finagle. Okay, let's see here. Get in there. Well, it's wanting to be obnoxious here. Let's get it just a moment. Just a moment, she says. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use my regular round nose and see if I can get that better. That doesn't match exactly, so I am going to cut this one back just a little bit and get it as close as I can to the other side. I take my round nose and come around and push it down, getting as close to that wire as I can. And sometimes they're not going to be exact. That's okay. You just get them as close as you can. That's pretty good. Let me make this a little bit easier to see farther away. There we go. That's a little bit better. So I've got my first bracelet done of my memory wire set, and put that on and let you see how that looks. Comes all the way around, doesn't come off, which is great. Okay, so that was saying, if you wanted a little bit longer coming around, you can certainly do that. I've even actually put lobster clasps on the ends before to give it a little bit more stability. But I am going to do 2 other bracelets, and let's put this one aside and go ahead and start the second one. Now the second one, I am not going to be doing the herringbone wrap, but I am going to be doing this pattern. So let's see how that comes out. I'm going to take my, I was going to go a little bit smaller this time around and see if that does better. It just takes practice. Okay, I'm going to turn that around. Your hands get a workout, that's for sure. Okay, so I have my loop. I'm going to go ahead and take my cube beads and string these on, keeping with the pattern. You can change it up. You could even do different beads if you want. It's entirely what you feel like looks good, because what happens is once you do these individual bracelets, you can mix them up with just about anything. Even another type of bracelet that you've made, it doesn't necessarily have to be this kind. But I've made several sets of these, and I've been able to mix them up and just make it look a little bit different. Now on this one, I do plan to add a charm to it. I don't, like I said, I don't always put charms on all 3, sometimes just 1, and that's perfectly okay. The great thing about making jewelry is you can make it the way you want. You can design it the way you want it. It doesn't have to be the way someone else designs their jewelry. It's all just a matter of personal preference. And even sometimes I've made things that I don't much care for, and someone else really liked them, and vice versa. So it's just fun. It's a way to relax. It can be a way to make money on the side. It can turn into a regular business for you, or it can just be a hobby. It just depends on what you want to do with it. Okay, we have our design going here with our 4mm cubes and our 4mm round beads. So I'm going to finish this one up, come back, and we'll finish up the end, and we'll also put a charm on so you can see what that looks like. Be right back. Hello again. Amy from Once in a Blue Moon. Of course, okay. Anyway, this is the second bracelet that I went ahead and did up, and I used all of my 4mm beads that I had. These are the cubes and also the AB 4mm, and these are the Procia brand, and you can find these, all of these on Amazon, or really any of the hobby and jewelry shops that you like to shop at, either online or in person. Okay, so we've already got this this second one done up, and I'm ready to do my loop, and I think I'm going to go ahead and use my regular round nose pliers. It seemed to do better this last time when I was putting the loops on that first bracelet. So I'm going to take a little bit off of there, just a smidge. Okay, just a smidge. Grab onto my beads, hold tight, move that out of the way, and go ahead and do my loop. These can be a little tough to do, but just keep at it and you'll get it, and that'll keep the beads from coming off. There we go. That's the second bracelet. And you put it with the first one. I think that looks really nice together like this. Now for the third one, I'm kind of on the fence on what to do. I'm thinking I could just do another bracelet like this and have this be in the middle, or I could do a mixture and just have maybe 1, 2, or 3 of the herringbone wraps. But I think in this case, think I'm going to go ahead and just do another memory wire wrap bracelet like this, only not the same pattern. And we'll see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and start that. Got my 2. And I'm going to go ahead and make my loop to start. And like I said before, guys, the sky's the limit on this. You do you. You do whatever makes you happy. When you look at what you've made and it makes you smile, or you give it as a gift, it makes somebody else smile, that makes your day right there. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing what I do. Okay, and the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you get at it. So keep that in mind as well. So okay, we're going to go ahead. Oh, I wanted to put a charm on this second one here. Not that one, this one. So let's go ahead and do that. I found these cute little butterflies. I have them in silver and in gold. And I want to add it to this one wire bracelet. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pliers here. My chain nose. I'm going to find, there it is, I think that's it. Get my pliers. Open my jump ring. It doesn't matter which end you put it on. Okay, got that on. And go ahead and close it up, making sure that they're together. That one's just a little bit off, so I'm going to press down and see if I can get it to come together better. And sometimes you have to do a little wiggle just to get it back together. There we go. There we go. And you could even wear this individually, and you've got this cute little bracelet with the charm. Wear it with or without it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do third bracelet. I've already got my loop on the end, and I think this time around, since I've used up a lot of the cube beads here, I think the majority of what I'm going to string on here or put on here is going to be the clear crystal Picosia. So I think we'll do 3, 4. Okay, I know you're there somewhere. There's a hole in there somewhere. There you are. There's 4. Whoop. 5, 6, and we'll do 7. Okay, there's 7 and 1. We'll do 1 cube and see if we can do that all the way around. Push this down. That's how it's going to look. 7 and 1, 7 and 1, all the way around. So I'll do that up and be right back. Hello everyone, welcome back again. And as promised, I've got my third memory wire wrap bracelet finished. I had just enough of the purple cubes to be able to do this bracelet, so that made me happy. So we're going to go ahead and do our final wrap loop, and I decided I only want to have a charm on the one bracelet that I just finished. So we're going to get this loop in here. Make sure that's tight. Make sure that it meets, because if you don't get it all the way closed, it'll slide and you'll have beads sliding up into the loop, and you don't want that. Okay, I think actually I make the loops better with the regular round nose pliers than I do the memory wire looper. So, lesson for me, but everybody's different. So, okay, here we have the third bracelet. This is what it looks like with the other two. Go ahead and put this on. Put them on, I should say. Here's the one with your charm. That's going to go on. Your herringbone wrap. That can go on. And you can wear them together, you can wear them separate, you know, however you want. Mix them up. And put this one on. Let's take this off so you can see it better. And there you are. The three together. You've got the charm on one. And you have a set. Like I said, wear them together or separate, mix them up. I also decided to go ahead and do a little pair of earrings to go with it. They match the charm that's on the bracelet, but again, of course, you can wear these with anything. And I just have a silver necklace with these little butterflies, and I just took them apart and decided to go ahead and thread them on to this ear wire, and it was very simple. Just cut it to the length that I wanted, and I could even change it up if I wanted to and make them even a little bit shorter or longer if I wanted to cut another pair. So I thread them on. Okay, this is what they'll look like. I take my chain nose and I close the gap so that they won't fall off. And there you have it. Really simple, really easy. I'll show you what they look like all done. We'll go ahead and close this one up too. Okay, and let's see what those look like. Very simple. I mean, you could always add a bead or two or three, however many you want. I just wanted something really super simple that I could wear with blue jeans, that I could wear with something a little more dressed up. But there you are. There are the earrings and your bracelets. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please feel free to leave comments, suggestions on what you'd like to see, how I can make these videos better for you. I love doing it and I love sharing, so I really hope that you enjoy them too. So until next time, have a great night, have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Keep beading. Bye now.